All right, enough with the shenanigans. Um, Friday morning, December 30th, 6:20, excuse me, and it's about 39 degrees. So just out here with the animals, watching some TV, and I was watching a video called Failure is an Option, and it's a TED Talk. Um, and it really intrigued me because I used to have a skewed perception of the word failure. Um, I think, like a lot of people, a lot of young people in particular, I just didn't appreciate the opportunity that the word, that failing, um, the opportunity that arose from a failure. You get to learn, and I just didn't understand that well as a young person. And I didn't understand that it was really the key component to learning. If you're not failing, you really aren't learning. Um, you're just kind of doing, which is, well, in reality, it rarely happens. You're most of the time, even when it's something redundant you've done 1,000 times, there's opportunities to fail and make mistakes and stuff. So um, I was just thinking about that and what failure really means. And failure really, I think, scares people, paralyzes people, um, and because it does that, they don't have the experiences needed to try even further things and in turn grow even more. Um, I was this was a big issue I had as a young man. I saw a lot of people doing things, and as a relatively intelligent, average intelligence person, let's just say that, I often could understand things and without having to physically do them. So I thought, right? And then you get out there and you do things and you learn that it's much harder, um, and that in most cases there's going to be a growth process that we're going to have to go through. And the growth process is where you fail and you learn from what you fail, and you apply and you fail and you learn from what you failed at and you apply, and it's just a circular process. Um, and it's really, really important if you want to truly understand something. If you want to build, you are an engineer and you're going to build a bridge, and it's going to be engineered to hold 200 pounds. And in doing so, you're never going to live load test the bridge, meaning you're never going to actually put physically 200 pounds on the bridge. You're just going to go off of notes and engineering and whatnot. So along comes, the bridge is done, and along comes somebody and they say they want to know the actual weight load. They got a big truck they want to bring across the bridge, and they need to know the actual limit. Where are they going to be in this situation with this actual load? So they get out there and they start with 190 pounds, and they start going across, and everything is fine until they get to 197 pounds, and the bridge fails and it cracks and it falls into the ocean, or whatever. In that failure, they learned a crucial, and imagine a lot of crucial information. But one thing would be that their engineering either was off, or the engineering values themselves are off, but what was engineered to be wasn't, and they need to find out. And in that finding out process, they're going to learn and grow and have a better understanding, and probably most likely have a better understanding and build a better bridge the next time. um, I got a little puppy down here who's got a little issue. We're going to have to get her into the vet, we believe. I won't get into it now, but so failure is really, really important, and understanding and letting failures happen is very important. Now, let's go back to that engineering process, and he did everything on paper, and that's fine. And then say he built something to model, to scale, and live load tested it, and it failed under value. Those failures would have been tremendous help to have happened in the beginning. He could have they could have worked the problem out before they ever went to the actual construction. So doing things and creating scenarios to create failures so you can gain information, puppy, told you, is a valuable way to do things. It's often how you troubleshoot things when you don't know what's wrong. Go through and remove the things that you do know. So, you can kind of rule out a lot of reasons and causes and things like that. And in turn, you may find out, what the problem is just by simply ruling out an issue. So I got a puppy down at my feet, and I don't know how to rule it out. I don't want to pick her up because she's got a little issue, and I just so get it into, well, let me say this. I'm going to get it into my kids' heads, and I have tried to get it into their heads and let them understand that when they're starting something new, the failures are going to be frequent, and they're going to be painful. They're going to be just like, oh, what happened there? That was catastrophic. But as you begin to understand, and you begin to understand the limitations, and you begin to see the failures as useful, failures can often save you a lot of time. Like I said, if you build a model to scale, and it fails prior to you investing millions and billions of dollars in a bridge, that's a good thing, right? We got some dogs growling down here. So when Gigi the other day was having an issue with her, I believe it was her iPad, she got upset, and she said, like most young people do, something to the effect of, boy, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's impossible, or something like that. So I had said to her, I said, Cheech, you tried once. Did you really expect to get it on the first try, And I took it, and I went and I monkeyed with it and got it figured out. And, I gave it back to her, and I said, that's the way it goes, Cheech. You just aren't always going to get things right away. Sometimes you got to sit down and arduously go through and refigure out your problem, your situation, not your problem. Could be a problem, I guess, but you're gonna have to do that after failures, and that's a big part of growth. It's a huge part of my growth. I do a lot of mock-ups and scale-ups and things like that, and then try to find points of failure. And I can even do it in my artwork, whereas I maybe will design something down to a small scale, and then try to mill it out and see what issues might arise in grain patterns and things like that. So when I do get a big piece of wood, a big expensive piece of wood on there, I've had my failures in a confined, controlled area, and I know it's gonna I've got a good understanding of what's going to happen, and I can limit my failures from there on, you know. There's a quote I want to say, and then I'll end the video with that, I guess. Um, Let your failures refine you, not define you. And that was by Max Lucado. I have no idea who the hell Max Lucado is, but I appreciate that quote right there. So let your failures refine you. And what I think of is refining oil or something, you know, like that. That type of refinement, that type of taking from something that's raw and molding and creating something that's more valuable. That type of refinement. You know, let your failures, don't let them just end at a failure. Ask why it failed. Find out why it failed so you can learn from it. You know, find out why every time you get to a certain RPM, you break a belt. Don't just throw your hands in the air and go, oh, my motor's broke today. Don't know what to do. It broke. Well, you know, take a couple minutes, go understand why it failed, and it may be something very easy that you can fix versus having to take into a mechanic. You know, I believe that approach all the time. You know, I'll have a problem or a failure happen, and rather get upset at the scope of the failure, I try to go back and find what failed, because that makes it easier to process. Okay, it was a nut that sheared, or excuse me, a bolt that sheared off. Now I understand why my pulley's loose and it's causing my belt to flap around and break or whatever. And that stuff's powerful. It builds up. It builds up and into your mind, and you can approach similar problems and similar failures and go, well, you know, it may be because of this. You know, I've seen this one time, you know. So let those failures continue to refine you. Take them as moments of learning and really learn from them, and you know, move forward. It's kind of like this. You're kind of going forward. Something happens, and you back up a little bit. You look around. I got this. I'm good again here. Let's figure it out. And then you move forward again, and you move past that problem until you get to whatever problem or failure, you know. And then you study, you learn, you appreciate, you understand why it happened. You may backtrack a little bit in that process, but knowing that you can confidently go forward through that failure, knowing that there's going to be another failure not too far ahead, and you'll have to face that too. So don't stop at the failure. Learn from it. And if you learn from it and then you realize there's limitations, you know, I can't do this because I don't have $1 million. Well, that's a pretty legitimate excuse, and maybe your problem solving shifts from that problem to how you raise $1 million, right? But don't let your failures just end the conversation. Let it be the starting point of what you're gonna begin to learn about. You know, it's a lot of fun. I really think it's the natural way to learn. It's kind of like just being curious and you know, learning from your curiosities. You know, that's the best way I can explain it. I'm always curious. I'm just as curious to hear what the neighbors are yelling at each other about as I am to why a microwave works. And I just choose to put more of my effort into learning how the microwave works. So, but that's all I got for right now. I don't know if I'll have any more videos up before the year's out, but we'll see. Have a good day. Okay, Jeej, I was just watching back the video and I had to say something. I used you as an example because it was fresh and it happened, not because of any other reason, you know, not because you struggle with anything, so I had to use you as an example or whatever. And I didn't want you to think, I didn't want you to come out of it with any kind of negative feelings about yourself at all. Daddy's is constantly trying and failing, and sometimes you're just not in the mood for it, right? And you fail and you just get PO'd, you know, ticked off, and you just put everything down and walk away. Give me kisses. Give me kisses. Thank you. And that's what was happening. It was Christmas Day. You had a lot of emotion and you were just jacked up. That's why when you couldn't do it, I just said, give it to me and let me do it. Because I knew neither of us really had the temperament to go through a learning session right now. And it just wasn't time for it, you know. So I love you. I'm always proud of you. I'm always proud of how you push through failures. I got a dog eating plastic here. Gosh, these dogs tick me off, Jeej. I'm telling you. Another one's trying to jump in my lap. But I love you, hon. Don't ever think anything less of yourself. And I'll be happy to fail with you any day of the week. And then when we're done failing, we'll go out and learn, and we'll come back and we'll figure it all out and build a better whatever we're building, or do whatever we're doing better. Just like we always have, Jeej. Love ya. Peace. Good Friday morning. Beard's looking good. It's got a nice little salt and pepper look in there. Blonde up on top. These curls, I haven't done it, but I can do it. Get them up there. Oh. Yeah. So we can do that if we want to. In fact, I'll try to do the rest of the video and just leave them. See how they go. I look pretty Canadian, eh? Take down the American flag back there, eh? You hoser? Bunch of hosers, eh? I say they up your nose with a rubber hose, down your throat with a plastic boat, eh?